Ice Locked here with Nocturne Gaming, and today we're taking a look at the biofuel refineries. These are the two biofuel refiners that are available in the Raft, and the first is found pretty early in the game, which is your basic biofuel refiner. The second, which is your advanced biofuel refiner, is found much later in the game. But let's go over each of these and talk about some of their intricacies as well as how they work. So first is the basic biofuel refiner, and the blueprint for this is found on Balboa Island in the ranger station. And once you have this item, you can research it, and then to craft it, it's just some basic materials such as plastic, plank, rope, and either a bolt or a hinge. Once you have it placed down, you do need a few more ingredients to be able to make your first biofuel. First, you need any kind of decomposable ingredient, such as the potato that I have here, or you can use fish or even animal heads from the different mobs you found. And the second thing you need is a honey. So you need to place your decomposable ingredients in the bin here, and as you place them, you'll see that it will slowly fill up. And you need 20 potatoes to make a single biofuel, but there are some cheaper recipes that we'll go over in just a minute. The second item is your honey, and placing it in the plastic bin here will allow you to get started making your biofuel. So it takes about 3.5 minutes to make a single biofuel using this, and then once you have it, you have to manually collect it. But we'll see more of that in just a minute. Let's talk about the Advanced Biofuel Refiner now. So the Advanced Biofuel Refiner uses the same mechanics. You need the same amount of potatoes and honey to be able to make a single biofuel. However, it is a little bit faster. It takes about 2.5 minutes to make a single biofuel. There's also the added benefit that it has a storage tank for you and can store up to 6 biofuels in this tank, and it can be used directly from this tank. So with the basic, you can only have 1 at a time. With the advanced, you can process up to 6 at a time. To do this, there is a few gauges that you can look at. First is this little dial here that will show you how full your basic ingredients are. So as you add your potatoes, you can see it filling up inside, as well as the gauge going up a little by little. And again, you can continue adding here. You can add up to, I believe, 120 potatoes into this before it fills up. Once you have the potatoes added, you do need to add your honey here on the side, and you can see it filling up here as well. And you can place up to 6 honey in there. And the last gauge to notice on here is actually on the biofuel tank here. You can see the little yellow line there at the bottom, and as you make more biofuel, it will fill up to let you know how much you have going. But with all of that being said, let's talk about the recipe. So there are a few different ingredients you can use to make biofuel, and this storage chest shows you the different materials you can use as well as the quantities needed to make a single biofuel. So you need 20 beets or potatoes to make a single biofuel, but you only need 1 of like a shark head or a warthog head to be able to make the same amount of biofuel. Either way, you will still need 1 honey per biofuel that you want to make, no matter which refiner that you're using. But the big benefit is saving your time using the Advanced Biofuel Refiner. I am going to pop up a display here that you can pause to see the ingredients that you need to make a biofuel, and displayed on kind of a point system to make it a little easier to understand. All right, so once your biofuel refiners are done, they should look something like this. And for your basic biofuel refinery, you do have to manually pick up your biofuel. It looks like a full kind of coffee can right here, and it's simply interacting to pick it up, and then it'll automatically start producing your next biofuel as long as you have materials filled up in here. You can fill this biofuel refinery with up to 2 sets of ingredients, and as you can see, even as it's processing, we can continue adding our potatoes and our honey in this to let it continue processing for us. And onto your Advanced Biofuel Refinery, the main thing we're looking here is looking at this gauge here, and as your biofuel processes, this yellow bar will slowly fill up, and you can manually collect it out of this barrel here. And this biofuel refiner does hold 6 biofuel, so as you can see, I just picked up an additional 6. Even before you pick up your biofuel though, you can continue filling up your biofuel refiner with more ingredients and have 6 stored here with another 6 sets of biofuel ingredients ready to go. One thing to mention before I forget is the blueprint for the Advanced Biofuel Refiner is found on Temperance Island, which is in Chapter 3, and it's found in the main dome of the Igloo Village. The next major thing to talk about with the biofuel refinery is the fuel tank. And the fuel tank blueprint is also found on Balboa Island, but it's in the Relay Station 6 on top of a desk. Once you have the blueprint, you can research it and then craft it using basic materials as well. The main thing that you gain from the fuel tank is efficiency, as it will allow you to store up to 4 biofuels in it. One of the negatives early game is the biofuel refinery has no way to connect to the fuel tank, so you will still need to manually collect the biofuel from the refiner and then place it into the fuel tank. As you place it, the gauge will fill up and it will show you that you can store up to 4 full biofuels in the tank. After you have the tank filled, this is where the major benefit of the tank comes in, and that's that you can connect things to it using fuel pipes. Fuel pipes are crafted using just scrap metal, and you can place them on the ground or even up in the air if you connect it properly. They do have to be placed in the grid-like fashion, but once you have it, you can place them above it, and this will allow you to continue extending upwards, and you could make it where there's ways to walk either over it or under it, depending on what you want to do. This is a quick setup to show you one of the major benefits of the Advanced Biofuel Refiner, and that is that it has its own connection area, so you can connect fuel pipes, which means you can directly connect this to your biofuel tanks as well as to the engines. So the only thing you have to do is input your potatoes and your honey directly into the refiner, and it'll start pumping for you and fill up this tank, and then it will also fill up your other tanks. So all you have to do is directly place your materials and off it goes. Everything is continuously powered as long as you have enough raw materials to continue making biofuel. This is another basic setup to show you that you can really compact your biofuel refiners and connect it to multiple tanks, and all of this will basically equalize. So as long as you're producing biofuel, it will split it between the 4 different fuel tanks here, and then it will start filling up each of the barrels on the Advanced Biofuel Refiner. This is simply just using a few pieces of pipe to connect the bottom and the top levels together, and will allow you to get more efficiency out of your space. Here's a quick tip to show you how to use your fuel tanks early game before you have a lot of engines. You can actually directly place your fuel tank up against your engine, and as long as you fill up this fuel tank, it will automatically fill up your engine for you. So we can place our biofuel in our fuel tank here, and if you wait just a second here, you should see the gauge on the engine fill up there, and now this engine can actually be turned on and is ready to go. So as long as you continuously fill up this biofuel tank, you'll actually have 5 biofuels worth of runtime on your engine by using this basic setup. Once you get to the point that you need multiple engines, you can use a setup like this, which allows you to connect multiple engines to your biofuel tanks. So as long as you fill up these tanks right here, both of these engines will continue to run as long as you have enough fuel between your tanks. It will automatically level this out and keep your engines running at full capacity, and there's no waste this way. This is another option out there for those of you who really like conserving your space, and this allows you to keep your raft smaller this way. By placing your platforms above it, you can actually have your tanks all lined up, and you can fill these by looking directly up at it, or you can have another set of platforms where you can run along and fill them up a little easier. But this would allow you to basically use the space that you otherwise could not directly above your engines, and will allow you to run a long time on this, as you can fit 3 fuel storage tanks above each engine. Another thing you'll need biofuel for later in the game is the battery recharger, and the battery recharger has 2 ways you can fill it up. First, by manually placing the biofuel in the tank, or you can connect it using a fuel pipe. Once you place the biofuel in here, the gauge will fill up, and you can charge up to 4 batteries using 1 biofuel. You can charge up to 2 batteries at a time. However, it does take about 3 minutes to charge each battery. So You may need some time here, but it is a great way to get another use out of all of those batteries you've stored up in your storage chests. This is another option of using the fuel tank to power your battery chargers, and using this setup you can have 5 biofuel all ready to go, which means you can charge up to 20 batteries using this basic setup before you'll need to refill your biofuel. And another ridiculous setup for you guys, and with this setup I have 8 advanced biofuel refineries. Each of them can store 6 biofuel, so I have basically 48 biofuel already ready to go, and I can have another 48 loaded up ready to go, so my engines will basically never run out of power. I routed all of the fuel lines up top so that they're out of my way and I can just walk down the line without having to jump over anything. One of the great features of this setup is you could actually put your power generators up here, and it would allow you to charge your batteries using this setup at the same time. But farther down the line here, we can go through a door, and I've got all of my engines all ready to go, and as long as I have an engine control, basically I never have to worry about running out of fuel, and I can go wherever I want to. One last quick tip for those of you that really like keeping things neat and organized is you can use doors to hide your fuel piping if you want to. So with this setup, I've got a fuel pipe outside the door and fuel pipes inside the door. So as long as I connect them now, everything will connect for me, and then I can close the door and everything looks neat and tidy here and blocks out all of that engine noise. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this type of content, and a huge shout out to our Patreon members that support the work we do. Thank you from all of us here at Nocturne Gaming. If you would like to become a patron and get some added benefits, check out the link in the description. If you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, please leave them down below for me, and we'll see you next time.